now. If you see the picture under there, it's a fundraiser where she's supporting him, but 10 months later, when he refused to let her run his campaign.
Oh, okay, so this is showing that
But she was supporting.
she was supporting Michael Hovis.
Yes,
Okay, so where is
the next page.
the next page is where she's talking poorly about them?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's all.
So I just want to point out that this has been going on for 8 years, almost 9. This is election interference. This is campaign finance. There are no records for any of this. This was never intended to be a legitimate PAC. They tried to cover themselves when they were called out. And they've never been called out before. The Board of Elections never took action. The GOP certainly hasn't taken any action. They were caught. They had no choice but to do this. So they've continued this charade. I'm asking you to please consider everything that I have brought here today. There have been people wouldn't drive 3 hours to get there if it wasn't worth it. Any questions for me?
Thank you, Ms. Campbell.
I'm sure I have a question for the executive director. So, though Miss McManus is not here, and I'm assuming that is her note taker that is on the screen. Note taking app. That's my hunch. But Jason Minor, you said is a part of the Board of Elections complaint.
Yes,
I'm gonna call
He is on the call and asking to testify. He should be able to represent himself.
we're going to give him the opportunity to do that right now.
Thank you.
As long as he's willing to be, be seen and be sworn.
Thank you, Commissioner Knight. Mr. Minor, if you want to respond to, you are here specifically for case number 2024R-386 and not a part of 2024D-028. If you would like to speak, you would need to come on camera, come off mute, be sworn in, and then we will allow you to talk. If you cannot get on camera, you will not be able to proceed forward. No problem. We'll give you a second. As a matter of fact, we're going to take a 5-minute recess. Everybody's looking at me like, absolutely not. So we're not going to take a 5-minute recess.
I'm not looking for that. I just 5 minutes isn't going to happen. It's going to be 15 or 20. I mean,
Well, I
I'm
was
not.
just trying to give everybody a chance to stretch while he gets on camera,
Okay,
but
that's fine.
Madam Chair, I would like, as the senior member of this committee, I would like to have a 10-minute break.
can we do 5, Mr.
I
Lyle?
guess, as long as, it takes
5.
me. I'll
So
do
we are
as fast
going
as I
to
can.
stand at recess for 5 minutes. It is now 1:39. Please, everyone be back at 1:44. Say that all over again.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, just say that we're back in session.
We are now back in session. Mr. Minor, were you able to get your camera?
Yep,
situated?
I'm
Okay,
here.
there we go.
Okay,
Okay, you will need to be sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
You can proceed.
Thank you, and good afternoon. Uh, Very quickly, just a few things. I want to make it clear that I am now the treasurer of the TCR Grassroots PAC. I took over, I believe, in August. So just to make that clear, I'm a principal officer of the TCR Grassroots PAC, who I believed is named in the other complaint. So after I address the first complaint, I guess against me specifically, I'd ask permission of the commission to address the allegations specifically directed at the PAC in which I'm a principal officer of.
yes, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. Uh,
Excuse me.
I suppose the first allegation, I guess the
Hold
only
on a second.
allegation,
What?
I'm sorry.
1 second, Mr.
At the time of the infractions, he was not involved with that. So how's he going to testify to what happened
Well,
prior?
we'll hear what he has to say. I don't necessarily disagree with you, but we'll hear what he has to say. He is the current treasurer, and so he can certainly speak to certain circumstances. Yes. Go ahead, Mr.
Thank
Minor.
you.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I guess the only allegations made against me personally were that I purchased labels from the Board of Elections, which I have done in the past. I do frequently, and I imagine will continue to do moving into the future. Since this whole complaint was filed, and as we're aware, Ms. Campbell is a member of that Board of Elections, as is Mr. Alberini. It seems the board's instituted a policy where, in order to pick up some of these labels, you're required to sign for them. And there's from the boards of elections I spoke to, that's not standard practice. And really, it's clearly an attempt for them to sort of micromanage and track for personal gain who's purchasing what labels. Of course, anybody can purchase labels as it should be and as is law. I guess secondly, Ms. Campbell made the allegation that and I guess it's not an allegation, it's absolutely true, that at the Board of Elections meeting following the first hearing, I believe last November or October, September, I believe, I went to a Board of Elections meeting and I discussed the I informed the board that the Director Richter had informed his commission that I could purchase labels anytime I want to. And I guess me purchasing labels is the bane of Miss Campbell's existence, it seems. That's all I have to say on the first one. I purchased labels. I'll continue to purchase labels. Miss Campbell's presented no evidence that the labels I purchased have been used for any of her misleading and very false allegations. So that's all I have to say on that one. And I'm open to any questions the commission has. Moving on to the second complaint with the TCR Grassroots PAC, I believe Ms. Campbell made several allegations regarding the present. Obviously, I wasn't the treasurer in the past, so I can't address some of those things, but I can address ongoing circumstances. For example, Ms. Campbell claimed that we rent an office. That's factually untrue. The TCR Grassroots PAC has signed no lease, nor have any of its principal officers signed a lease on behalf of the TCR Grassroots PAC to rent any office space. So we have no utilities, no Wi-Fi, nothing like that. Even though Ms. Campbell claimed under oath that she was sure we did, she's wrong again. Ms. Campbell also claims that we have not filed with the Trumbull County Board of Elections. State law does not require us to file with the Board of Elections. It requires us to file with the Secretary of State's office, which the commission acknowledged at the last hearing was done, albeit 12 days late. In just more of a general matter as well, it seems that this hearing's been more of an opportunity to throw personalities around and disparage Miss McManus, the PAC. And it's none of it's based on fact. So I'd ask the commission to certainly consider what's real, what's not, and the law. Really consider the law when when trying to sort through the facts presented today. I also want to make it clear, I submitted an affidavit in the case Ms. McManus mailed in. Ms. Campbell made the claim that several of everybody who submitted those affidavits was not present, could not be cross-examined. I want to make it abundantly clear that if Ms. Campbell wishes to cross-examine me, I am more than willing to answer any questions she has. But I believe that's all I have for now. Oh, one last thing, excuse me. In all of my dealings with the PAC, there's never been a candidate consulted in any action of the PAC. First, the PAC's only taken one action. That was the in-kind donation of slate cards. The disclaimer on those slate cards was proper. It was in compliance with the law. And additionally, Ms. Campbell filed a complaint with the Federal Elections Commission, which the FAC dismissed earlier this year. Didn't even there was not even a single hearing on it. They just flatly and plainly dismissed it because it had no credibility. So I would, I guess I'd open myself up to any questions the commission has, or if Ms. Campbell wishes to cross-examine me, I'm more than willing.
Thank you, Mr. Minor. Commission members, do you have any questions or follow-up for Mr. Minor?
No.
We do that before she has up her need to cross-examine.
I was just saying the follow-up. Ms. Campbell, would you like to cross-examine?
Yes. So, Mr. Minor, can you tell me who the owner of the building is? Where this PAC is located?
And what address are you referring to specifically, Ms. Campbell?
367-371 High Street.
I believe the building is owned by an LLC, a property management group, to my understanding.
Which is?
Offhand, I don't remember the name of it. I'm sure you could access it via public databases.
So this is just some property managed group that donates this?
That's not what I testified to.
What are you saying? There's no rent, there's no lease?
Yeah, sure. I'll remind you what I just testified to 5 minutes ago. I testified that the TCR Grassroots PAC, nor have any of its principal officers signed on behalf of the TCR Grassroots PAC any lease for office space, nor have we paid any utilities.
So who has signed the lease?
Excuse me?
Who has signed the lease? You're
I'm unsure.
specifically stating,
I was not privy to any lease signing. I'm unsure who specifically is named in the lease for the rental of the office, nor am I sure what the payment for the office is. In my capacity, my only understanding is that TCR Grassroots PAC is able to receive mail at 367 High Street.
so what you're saying basically is, as treasurer, there's a building being leased for this PAC. you
No,
have
that's
no
not what I'm
idea.
saying. You're already incorrect. That's not what I just said.
So explain it again. What you're saying then is the TCR and any of its officers have not signed a lease. But you're not
On
saying,
behalf of the PAC. I'm
On
unsure if
behalf
Ms.
of the PAC.
McManus and her,
was
I'm
it
unsure
done
if,
under one person's name? Because I recall the owner of the building saying that he was grateful to have tenants again in this building.
sure, so it is my understanding, it's my belief, it's probably true that Ms. McManus signed a lease in her own capacity. I believe before the PAC was even started. What I testified to is nobody signed a lease on behalf of the PAC. So Ms. McManus didn't sign on behalf of the PAC. There's no lease between the TCR Grassroots PAC and whatever this entity that owns the building is called. Nor have we paid for any services or paid for any office space at this office. The
Who
only
is paying
affiliation
for
with
the office
TCR Grass,
space?
I'm sorry,
Who is paying for the office space?
I'm unsure. I'm
So
the
Ms.
treasurer of the PAC,
McManus
and as I
signed
just,
this. She signed the lease prior to
Correct.
this PAC being created,
correct.
but is also using that as the address for the PAC.
A mailing address for the PAC, yes, and it's my belief. I don't want to set it as a fact of record, because unlike you, I don't testify to things I don't know for sure. But it's my understanding that Ms. McManus likely pays for the PAC out of her own, pays for the office out of her own PAC, out of her own pocket, excuse me. And the PAC, again, the PAC doesn't pay for anything. We simply very rarely receive mail at this address.
So she's the owner of the PAC.
Just
She
to clarify for your understanding, just to ensure I'm testifying to the best here. I could register a PAC at my home and receive mail there, and that does not mean that the PAC is paying for my home. So that's a similar circumstance here.
Well, and it would stand to reason since the PAC wasn't created at the time that she rented the building. But since that time that the building's been rented for the PAC, there have been coordination of candidates there.
That's two things incorrect you just said. First, the building was never rented for the PAC. You just said it was. It was not. I've said that 5 or 6 times now. The second thing I just testified to was that in all of my experiences with the TCR Grassroots PAC, both as treasurer and before I was a treasurer, just knowing Ms. McManus, I believe you referred to me as her sidekick. There has never been an instance which a candidate was consulted in any of the actions of the TCR Grassroots PAC. And for the record, again, there was one action. That was a slate card that was properly reported, had a proper disclaimer on it.
And do you have any idea, since you were involved with her so much prior to becoming the treasurer, why the PAC wasn't filed before any of this was done?
I'm unsure. Again, I wasn't involved in the original creation of the PAC. I believe that Ms. McManus is in compliance with federal law, and I believe she is now in compliance with state law. I think the only allegation that's been made here is that Ms. McManus filed, or the TCR Grassroots PAC rather, filed with the FEC in a timely manner in compliance with federal law. As the FEC asserted when they dismissed your frivolous complaints. But the only allegation really is that Ms. McManus did not file timely with the Ohio Secretary of State. She was 12 days late, I believe. That's aside from
Are you
everything else she
aware
said,
that
that's the
as
only
the-
allegation.
As the new treasurer, are you aware that as of yesterday, there are no filings with the Secretary of State, no campaign finance filings with the Secretary of State? There is only the PAC registration. There have been no campaign finance reports filed.
I
with the
believe
Secretary.
based on the previous hearing, and I believe the assertions made by Director Richter, I believe that is currently all that is required with law. If this is an off year, this is an off year. The PAC said no activity.
No activity in a year and a half.
I'm sorry?
No activity in a year and a half. So when this PAC was originally filed, which you have no knowledge of, because you weren't involved, there were no, when it was filed with the FEC determined that it was just a late filing of the PAC. And after, I believe, 3 or 4 letters, which are in your packets, you'll see that they finally complied and filed a finance report. To this day, it's never been done with the state, which is required by law. And anytime you are including county candidates on the slate, has to be the designation of treasurer filed with the Trumbull County Board of Elections. To this day, it's not been done. And I will contend.
I believe that's incorrect.
You can believe it. But
Ms. Campbell, I believe your attorney is trying to speak to you. Judge Campbell, I did just want to let you know. And I believe it's been on the record that Judge Campbell is not representing her, but clearly he's providing her legal advice. So
would
Thanks,
you
Judge.
consider being that you're saying there's that Regina McManus has the lease on the building? And even though she's the
I'm
principal.
saying I
doesn't-
believe Ms. McManus. I'm saying it's reasonable to assume Ms. McManus has I don't have a copy of the
So
lease. I
then
don't know
this
who
space
actually
is
signed it.
being donated to the Trumbull County or the TCR Grassroots.
Well, the TCR Grassroots PAC isn't using the office space. Again, we rarely receive mail there.
Well,
I've never, as the treasurer of the
documentation that
TCR
I-
Grassroots PAC,
in the documentation that I had provided, it does show the TCR was using that space as they had events there.
I don't believe the
Also,
TCR
I will
grassroots pack
say
has had
this,
any
if
events.
I can
You're
have a
incorrect.
minute.
No, you're supposed to be asking him questions to which he responds, not necessarily making additional statements.
Go ahead.
I guess my response is, first up, you haven't asked a question several minutes here. But I believe my response to your statements are that I am not aware of the TCR grassroots pack having any events because we've received no money. So another entity maybe had an event at this
So
office space.
where would you say the TCR grassroots pack is operating out of?
The TCR grassroots pack isn't operating. We haven't had any activity in over a year. The TCR
At the
grassroots
time-
pack is, I'm sorry?
At the time,
Ms. Campbell, can you please, when you ask the question, allow him to finish and then ask a follow-up question if you have one?
so at the time that these slate cards were done,
Sure.
where was the TCR grassroots pack operating out of?
And by operating, do you mean going in and setting up an office space?
Where were you producing these and where were the candidates picking these up?
First, to my knowledge, no candidate picked up any of the slate cards. To my cards that the TCR grassroots pack did were, I believe, mailed to people.
And where were they put together? Where did you take the labels?
I've got no clue where they were put together, and I didn't take the labels anywhere. The labels were purchased by me, as you correctly asserted, and left in my vehicle. I'm unsure. The TCR grassroots pack, nor Regina McManus, ever paid me for these labels, nor did I offer up these labels.
So they-
And
you just
to
kept
be
them
clear,
in
you
your
have no
car.
proof to assert otherwise.
You have, so you're saying you just kept these in your car?
Correct. These labels were left on the passenger seat of my car. And to be honest with you, I have not kept track of them because they were so minuscule in fashion. There's much more important things to do.
I have, and it shows that there were 1,140, so I don't believe that's minuscule. No
I'm
more
sorry?
questions? No more questions.
I see. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if there's nothing further, I'd like to ask Mr. Minor some questions on his affidavit.
Please proceed.
Okay, so Mr. Minor, hi, my name is John Lyle, one of the commissioners. I received through Mr. Richter, your affidavit from yesterday. And I just have a few questions.
Yes,
Do
sir.
you have your affidavit handy?
I do. It's on my computer right in front of me, sir.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So on number 4, you say I've known Regina McManus for 5 years and have assisted her on various campaigns and other endeavors. So could you
Correct.
tell us, please, how you've assisted her on various campaigns?
Sure. So I believe I started in politics when I was 13 or 14, several years ago. And I think I started out just knocking on doors for candidates. One of my early experiences with Miss McManus was an event, coincidentally, that Miss Campbell was in charge of, where Miss McManus sent me to it's DVSD's Banquet Center in Warren Township in Trumbull County. The Trumbull County Republican Party was having a Christmas party, and I was rather new, so Miss McManus sent me to this Christmas party. She told me to take some Denny Malloy signs. He's a county commissioner that she referenced several times. Just take some signs there, set them there, and just attend the event. Upon arriving at that event, I set those signs there. They were promptly removed by Miss Campbell. She then decided she loudly informed me. She pulled me outside and loudly informed me that Regina McManus and Denny Malloy were, I believe it's something along the lines of a cancer to the Republican Party.
Sir, if I may, I don't want to get into the drama. I want to know specifically, according to your affidavit, how you
Yes.
assisted her. I don't need to hear the drama.
Sure.
Thank you.
I guess that was sort of example of how I assist her. I've attended many events on behalf of candidates, spoke on behalf of candidates. I've served as treasurer for campaign committees before, something I enjoy doing, obviously. I've run digital media for candidates.
Okay, fair enough. Could I direct your attention to number 8, please, on your affidavit?
Yes, sir.
It says, this is your statement, to my knowledge, Regina McManus has never engaged in discussions with candidates or potential candidates about activities past, present, or future of the PAC.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. So my question, I guess, is how does that happen if she is a campaign manager based on all the affidavits we've received?
Yeah,
How
so
do you act as a manager, but you don't talk or discuss anything with candidates?
sure. So I guess my assertion here is first that I have never personally witnessed or heard of Ms. McManus ever speaking to a candidate about activity of a PAC, right? So I believe under federal and presumably under state law, a candidate's coordination with a PAC is against the law. So Ms. McManus has had to sort of separate herself from the candidates when she's engaged in. Again, the PAC has had one activity, and that was mailing out a slate card. So the PAC's had no activity, to my knowledge, since that slate card. And during that slate card, no candidates were consulted in the creation or disbursement of that slate card, nor did any candidate provide any financial relief. Additionally, there were candidates on that slate card, to my knowledge, who Ms. McManus did not manage their campaigns. So she's to my knowledge and understanding, and based on my experiences with her, the TCR Grassroots PAC and Ms. McManus have never coordinated with a candidate specifically.
Okay, thank you. I'll direct your attention to number 11, please.
Sure.
You said do not receive compensation from TC Grassroots PAC, Trumbull County President Cigar Club, or from Regina McManus for any of my activities.
Yes, sir.
So how many hours would you say during campaign season do you work for her? Or you perform, let me rephrase that, or you perform work for TCR?
The only work I've performed for the TCR Grassroots PAC specifically is being its treasurer and the dues associated with that. I also believe, if my recollection serves me correctly, I was involved in the original design of the slate card that was mailed out, as I do digital media stuff, and it's based
So,
on that experience. Sort of.
How many hours would you say you worked on that?
The slate card took me probably half an hour. It's very easy to do if you know what you're doing. Digital design is something I enjoy. I would say potentially half an hour. I don't remember specifically.
Right.
Again, this was over a year ago. So.
And then on 14, I'm curious if you direct your attention to number 14 on your affidavit. Says I frequently purchase labels from the Trumbull County Board of Elections during election cycle. And
Yes,
can I ask you for what purpose? I heard you under Ms. Campbell, you said you I guess you purchased these and they just lying on your seat in your car. So I guess my question is, for what purpose do you purchase these for?
Yeah, so generally I purchase labels on behalf of committees. So as again, I just mentioned, I've served as treasurer for several committees. On behalf of those committees, as I did with, for example, Augustino Ragazzino, he's the county treasurer. I served as his campaign treasurer for several months. On behalf of those committees, I go and I purchase these labels, and we obviously use them for mailers.
Okay, so you do use them for mailers.
Correct.
Okay, that's all I
labels
have. Nothing.
Ms. Campbell referenced, I did not provide to the TCR Grassroots PAC. I didn't receive compensation for providing those, nor did I intentionally provide them. Again, they were lying on my seat. I have no recollection of where they went after that.
Okay, I have nothing further. Thank you, Madam Chair. Back to you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lyle. Is there Commissioner Knight?
Mr. Minor, thanks for hearing today.
Commissioner Knight, I think we need the mic for them to hear you.
Silly technology. Mr. Minor, appreciate you appearing today. I wanted to make sure I understand and clarify something that you said. So did you assert that really the one activity for the TCR grassroots pack was work on the slate card, correct?
In the past, I did work on a slate card. Presently, I'm only the treasurer. I only, again, the PAC's had no activity since that slate card.
Okay, but the pack had activity as a part of the slate.
Correct, yes.
Okay, so did that not require some level of coordination with the candidates on that slate card?
It did not. No, I suppose the process of putting a slate card together for me, I'm the one who did it. So,
Yeah.
it was as simple as I went to the Board of Elections website. I looked at the sample ballot, or the sample ballot they provide for voters to look at who's going to be on their ballot. This was a Republican primary, so I selected candidates from that sample ballot who I personally support and believe to be the correct people for these offices, as is permitted by law. And I put those candidates names, their party affiliation, on that slate card, and then I searched the internet for pictures of them. I never asked any candidate for a photo of themselves. I never, to my knowledge, the TCR Grassroots PAC never asked any candidate to pay for this. Obviously, Ms. McManus paid for it herself based on the filings. So to answer your question, I guess no, there was no, it required no coordination because everything is publicly accessible online.
Okay, but and maybe this isn't a question for you, but here's where I'm trying to connect the dot is if Ms. McManus was the treasurer and in charge of the TCR Grassroots PAC at the time, and they were doing a slate card that involved candidates that she was managing, doesn't that equal coordination? I mean, or are you suggesting that she's taken off one hat and a manager right now and I'm PCR right now back and forth? Is that what you're?
Sure. Yeah. So let me clarify that. So I think I have to preface with the fact that, to my knowledge, and I think as Ms. Campbell asserted, that Regina McManus, I don't believe, received compensation during that period to manage any of those campaigns. So effectively, she was a campaign manager who sort of as an advisor, but I wouldn't say that she had a financial interest in these candidates winning. So I think that's important when you're distinguishing, sort of what hat she's putting on and taking off. For example, you or I as a volunteer, I could go volunteer to knock on a door for a candidate. I could say, I really like this candidate. Let me engage in what isn't initially my rights as a voter in this country. Let me go form my own PAC and let me support this candidate in any way I choose. I think it would be much, much different if at the time she sort of was, excuse me, a phone call coming in. If she was, if a candidate paid her to create this slate card, that would be illegal. But based on my personal knowledge and based on the facts presented today, even by Ms. Campbell, that's just not the case.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Lyle.
If I may, I have a follow-up for Mr. Minor from
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Mr. Knight's testimony. Or
question.
questions, I'm sorry.
Questions.
So, Mr. Minor, so let me ask you this. So in whose direction did you put the slate card together?
So I wouldn't say it was at anybody's direction.
You just did it
What
on your
frequent-
own?
I could expand upon that
Okay,
answer.
Yeah, please do.
Yes. So as is frequent, I'm a young guy. I'm energetic. I have a lot of different ideas for campaigns. Working with Ms. McManus on some of these campaigns, I've sort of come up with stuff and presented it to her, and that's a rather frequent occurrence. And on a campaign, you run it by the candidate. Obviously, the PAC is different. So we've, I think in a similar sense, Ms. McManus, I was aware she had created this PAC under the federal guidelines and in compliance with federal law. You know, I, of course, obviously wasn't being paid either by any of these campaigns. So I thought to myself, how could we support these Republican candidates? And for a quick preface, excuse me, the Trump County Republican Party, unlike other Republican parties, is not permitted to participate in primaries. So under Ms. Campbell's direction, they have, but the PAC was sort of a, to my understanding, the PAC was sort of created to participate in primaries, but do it the legal and ethical way. So upon sort of getting this idea, I think Ms. McManus was also looking for ideas on how to support some of these candidates. Excuse me for one second. She was also looking for ideas on how to support these candidates. I don't remember specifically what the conversations were, but I think we came to the understanding that maybe putting together a slate card would be good. Putting together a slate card is permissible under the law.
So you had, let me ask you this. So you had
Sure.
conversation with Ms. McManus about putting the slate card together. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is accurate.
Okay, let me ask you this. Are you aware of the slate card says this on Complainants Exhibit 3, it says this mailing was not paid for or authorized by any candidate, TCR Grassroots PAC. You familiar
Correct.
with
Yeah,
that?
that is the slate card I'm
Okay.
referencing.
All right, that's all I need, yes or no, thank you. And one more question, do you understand or you know that on Complainants Exhibit 3, all the people that are running on here are running for a city, county, or state office, not a federal office?
That's incorrect, sir. I believe Donald Trump was listed on there. JD Vance was listed on there. I believe the Senate candidate at the time was also listed on there. Dave Joyce was listed on there.
No,
So that
not
was
on, not on Exhibit 3 that I'm looking at.
I see the slate card that I designed had those candidates listed on it. That's the only slate
You
card
have
the TCR.
Dave
Grassroots
Joyce,
PAC
who
did.
was Congress, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I stand corrected. So you had one federal elected folks and the rest are state folks, correct?
No, sir. Based on my
And
recollection,
county or
I-
local, as I said.
sure. I know we had several of those candidates on there. Based on my recollection, though, of the slate card, the
This is
slate
the
card
one.
I created and designed, we had at least 2 other federal candidates listed on there.
All right, well, I mean, I'm looking at the one that says TCR Grassroots PAC.
Yeah, I'm
and
not.
unless my eyes are failing me, it just looks like we have Mr. Joyce, the Republican for Congress.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was presented to you. I obviously don't have a copy of it. But based on my recollection of a slate card I designed, we had top of the ballot. We had the Senate race at the time, who I believe was Bernie Moreno.
Yeah, that would be correct, but that's not what I'm looking at, so.
I
Okay,
see. Yeah, I'm
thank you.
unsure what you're looking at. Based on my
I'm
recollection of the
looking at
card I
Exhibit
designed it.
3. Understand.
I don't have Exhibit 3, sir.
All right. All right, that's all I had. Thank you, Madam
Thank you,
Chair.
sir.
Thank you.
Do we have any additional questions? Yes, Mr. Knight?
More of a. The chair.
Question for Mr. Minor.
No, but I do have a question on, before Mr. Minor is done. There's been a lot of dialogue in the chat from Mr. Malloy asking to speak. I mean, theoretically, Mr. Minor could call him as part of his defense, could he not? If he wanted to do so. Do we need to make him aware of that?
You just have, I mean, we could allow, I would not be inclined to allow him to testify just on his own because he's not a party.
I know, but you have to be recalled by the responder.
It would have to be correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Chair, isn't it? But, I mean, I'm not. Okay, yeah, that is correct, Mr. Knight, but I'm not sure exactly what he would bring to the issues that we have pertinent before us as it relates to the allegations contained in the complaints.
Yeah, it's, based on my understanding, there's only one real accusation here, and that's that we filed 12 days late, or the PAC filed 12 days late. And I don't think Mr. Malloy provides any support or opposition to that claim. So I have no intention of calling him.
Thank you, Mr. Minor.
Thank you. I hope you all have a good day.
Just I think we have the case placed to us by Mr. Minor indicating that he was done.
Okay.
We have the complainant had already rested, the respondent is now essentially rested, so the case is to the commission.
Okay, commission members, do you want to have discussion? There.
I would like to, know Mr. Richter's, I know he can't, give a recommendation, but I'd like to know his thoughts on the matter.
Well, I think it has been established primarily, and to me more than anything else, the TCR grassroots PAC is either, depending on how you want to look at it, failed to filed late, or filed incomplete campaign finance reports. To me, that is the primary element that we have before us, based on the complaints that have been presented to us. I don't think that, not only just because of what Mr. Minor has testified, but I don't believe, Mr. Minor has purchased labels, and so what? I don't see anything other than that. I don't believe that there has been, to me at least, I'm not seeing anything that involves the Cigar Club as it relates to any of their activities. But I think it's between Ms. McManus's activities as it relates to the coordination between the committee, or her actions as chairman or campaign director, essentially, for campaigns, and and her activities with TCR that would lead you to believe that there's been coordination between TCR grassroots and some of the committees, that and the failure or late filings or incomplete filings of campaign finance reports. Those to me are the two issues that we really have before us.
Okay, thank you.
Question for the director. Are we to be guided at all at the actions of the FEC? Respect to the creation of PAC?
I guess I'd be inclined to say no, only because it was created, and so it was established as a PAC, and that was appropriate. Based on reading the materials that they circulated back as to why they didn't take any further action, they said it was just kind of was too minor of a nature for them to spend their time on. I was reading the essential basis for why they decided to take no action. TCR, as I'd look at things, TCR Grassroots was created as a federal PAC that's been established and acknowledged. They filed a variety of reports late, etc., but that's all FEC issues. Included in those FEC reports was an identification of about $1,430 or something like that that was somehow utilized in there, but that amount was not included in the quarterly report that was submitted to the secretary's office. There were subsequent filings with the FEC in June and July. There may have even been one later, as I recall, in 2024. None of those were submitted to the secretary's office as a federal PAC taking action in Ohio is obligated to do. And so to me, that's the critical issue to us is Ohio law obligates a federal PAC that conducts activities for federal or for candidates in Ohio to submit copies of its FEC reports with the Secretary of State's office. They did file their statement of organization in March. You can go back and forth as to whether it should have been filed earlier. Certainly we heard the evidence that Ms. Campbell produced, but then they did subsequently file a quarterly report with the secretary, but no subsequent reports were filed with the secretary's office. And again, that's where I get back to either late, failing, or incomplete campaign finance reports not being properly filed with the Secretary of State's office.
But before us is just simply the failure to register it timely.
Between registering it timely and filing complete or inaccurate campaign finance.
No part of the complaint. It's that part.
Yeah. I believe that was a part of what the Board of Elections submitted.
It is.
I can find it, but I'm pretty sure the Board of Elections included that in their referral.
Is there more deliberation and discussion from commission members?
I'd like to ask a question.
No.
Yeah. I don't, Madam Chair, I guess when I look at this, it's, and I'm looking at the complaint was filed. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, it's pretty clear to me that TCR, this is what I'm assuming, I think they thought they were probably operating as an independent expenditure, but are not, obviously. And if they are, they clearly would be violating the law. I mean, this all goes back to the similar case with One Worthington that still hasn't been resolved. But that when I first came on the board, and Ernie and Christina, we had this case, and it was about an independent expenditure PAC and how they operate. But since there's no testimony from Ms. McManus, you know, it's hard to decipher this, but it's clear, at least from the testimony from Ms. Campbell, that she did raise funds. McManus did raise funds. She did use funds for campaigns, although she has a federal PAC that has nothing to do with the state PAC. And by law, she is required to have a state PAC. And she hasn't done that. And so there's clearly violations, and there's clearly coordination based on, in my opinion, this, all this, based on the evidence that we have, you know, volumes of pictures with her doing coordination. I mean, that's clear. So I take a little different tactic than Mr. Richter. I think there's more here than just a simple violation. And I actually think that this case should go to prosecution. That's my, back to the prosecution. That's prosecutor, that's where I'm at with this case.
Question for the executive director. It's my understanding that you don't need a separate state PAC. The federal PAC can display state parties, right?
A federal PAC has an ability to participate in Ohio elections as long as, along with filing the statement of organization, which is did. All campaign finance reports that are filed with the FEC are filed with the Secretary of State at the same time. So, then you have an operating federal PAC that is conducting activities for the benefit of Ohio campaigns.
That hasn't happened, right?
TCR Grassroots did file with the FEC.
No, I understand that, but they didn't file anything with the state.
They did file their statement of organization with the secretary, and they filed one report. Now, it was an incomplete report, but they filed one report.
That there's, regarding this particular case and the accusations, they haven't filed anything. Isn't that accurate?
There hasn't been anything filed by them subsequent to the filing of this case yet.
No, that's not what I asked you. Which again, you and I do this every meeting.
Right, but understand where I'm coming from. Yeah, no, they did.
Right.
Right. And you can certainly assert that they should have, but they also should have filed as I'm seeing things here, there were, at least I see a timestamp on at least one of the, you know, some sort of a report was received by the FEC Mail Center on November 4th of 2024. So, and that's subsequent to this original review by the commission in September of 2024. You know, that submission was not submitted to the Secretary of State's office as it should have been. And so that's where you get to failure to file, either failure to file or filing an incomplete report. I go back again to the one report that was filed with the Secretary, at least as I was looking at their records today, the quarterly report in April 2024, it reflected all zeros based on what I'm looking at. Whereas their FEC report reflected 1,400 and whatever, $1,480.63.
Right.
So there you have an incomplete campaign finance report filed. But TCR, and I don't believe that it's gone out of existence. It could continue to participate in Ohio elections. It just needs to bring its filings up to date, because it's got a variety of outstanding filings there. I mean, could they have created an Ohio PAC? Yes, they could have, but they didn't.
Okay.
Is there any additional discussion, questions?
I'll make a motion just to move it off the time to send this to prosecution.
There's a motion on the floor to transfer this case.
Well, I'm just gonna say, we have a variety of parties before us. Your motion, as stated, would indicate that you want to send all of the parties before us to found a violation and send them along for prosecution. If that's the case, that's, you know,
That's not the case.
Okay,
I'm talking about the McManus case, TCR.
and that's my reason.
Yeah, no, that's reasonable. I understand. I did a sweeping motion. I didn't mean to do that.
Nope.
But yeah,
No,
particularly what we were talking about here.
Right.
Because I personally think that they're trying to operate as an independent expenditure. And they're not following the law. They're doing coordination, like I said. And I think it's an illegal activity. So I would think they should go to the prosecutor, just on the McManus case and the TCR piece.
So just your allegation, your
Motion.
then would be for the commission to find a violation against TCR Grassroots PAC and Regina McManus solely,
Yeah.
and to refer those two parties that are before the commission for further prosecution.
Yes, sir.
So that is the motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Madam Chair, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. We should probably do a roll call vote.
I don't think we should have discussion.
Well, yeah,
Again,
we're
discussion.
certainly discussion.
Question for Commissioner Lyle.
I don't think he can hear you.
Question for Commissioner Lyle.
Yes, sir.
It's not the mic.
What- It is the mic's fault. What, what do you see here that, I mean, I agree that there are violations. And we'll probably have a follow-up for the executive director, but what do you see here that, I mean, we rarely send things for prosecution.
Sure. And there's an occasion we should have.
Agreed. But what here specifically do you believe rises to that level?
Well, as I stated, Mr. Knight, I believe there's been enough evidence produced that they are operating an illegal operation, that even though it's an LCC, which they can have on their own, but you cannot run or coordinate campaigns under the guise of TCR as an LLC. Or in this case, I guess, the federal PAC, and then not reporting. So it seems to me that there is enough here. This is convoluted enough, number one, very twisted in what's going on here. And as we said, a shadow Republican Party, and that this operation is nothing but a guise to raise money and to participate illegally through not using the party. And I believe that the coordination, without question, if they thought they were running an IE, is, it's so clear on its face, based on the evidence. I mean, if you're going to run an IE, you can have not even a sniff of coordination. You can't talk to people. You can't be their campaign manager. You can't offer them advice. You can't take pictures of anyone. All right. You have to, if you're running an IE, and you've heard me say this before. This goes back to help me with the case. I just said it. Citizens United, but in ASME, we ran these all the time. You cannot have any coordination. I can't ask you to take a still picture and take a picture of you. That's coordination. I'd have to go to a campaign event, snap pictures if I can without talking to you. Obviously, based on what I've read through all the testimony, all the different affidavits last night that I stayed up half the night reading because we got them so late, that those, which are still in evidence because we never ruled on them, they're still in evidence. It shows that there's coordination everywhere. And how can you be a campaign manager? She can be a campaign manager, and she can run as a campaign manager and have an LLC, but you can't be a campaign manager and raise funds and not report them. Can't do that. And it's clear that's happening. And even with Mr. Minor, I mean, with his testimony, he's talking about doing work that's never reported. It's just suspicious to me. I mean, he's going to go ahead and I'm not putting him in the motion, but he's going to go ahead and just on his own create a slate card without any input from somebody. I mean,
Though I agree with most of what you're saying, how is that different than going and volunteering to knock on doors?
Well, because he's dealing with a PAC, number one. Okay, so he's not just volunteering on his own. He's obviously he's working for this PAC. And the PAC is not reporting. And the PAC has a duty to report.
Okay, well, then that's where my question, Mr. Richter, comes. So, Mr. Richter, by the mere formation of this PAC, does that preclude things such as volunteering in other ways? Do you have to now associate it with the PAC or its coordination? For example, with Ms. McManus, does she not have the ability to manage campaigns as a volunteer, right? And you can talk about does that amount to coordination at that point? Or are you required, now that the PAC is set up, to not be able to do those things on your own?
Tough question to answer, honestly. But I think that simply setting up the PAC wouldn't necessarily preclude you from doing, in my opinion, some of the other things that are alleged here or maybe have been proven. but I believe that it is certainly not unreasonable to see that that there is coordination when you have a campaign campaign chair who also serves for the PAC. And I don't know that it would be improper to assume that there is coordination. My suggestion in that kind of a situation would be for the person not to do it because it would put themselves in a difficult situation. But if they were going to do it, either list some elements in the campaign finance report of in-kinds between the PAC and the and the committee, or put a statement out there that says, I have specifically conducted these activities on behalf of the committee and these activities on behalf of the PAC, and I have been very careful in not coordinating those activities. You could certainly call something like that still into question, and it would be difficult to do that, I think.
Well,
but I think it's possible, but it's unlikely.
Well, what's possible? Not unlikely.
It's possible to separate the two.
Okay.
But it's unlikely.
Okay.
But I think it would be physically possible.
Okay.
The old classic Chinese wall reference.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of.
It's one thing for that kind of a situation where if you and I are working together, you're separated from me and we keep that separation, have the one individual do it. Is it possible? Yeah, but is it likely? That's a little bit harder to say that it's likely that the individual was able to parcel out their mind in two different directions like that.
But it's also possible. I mean, we have people come here all the time that are confused by campaign finance laws, right? And this,
yes,
I mean, this would certainly, I mean, I'm confused here. And again, I fully agree that, there is certainly animosity here, and there's certainly two groups that one does not like what the other's doing and is trying to do their own thing. I just am not sure it rises all the way to prosecution. That's all.
Madam Chair, I just need to respond as a former candidate. This is very dangerous. This road that we're going down with this PAC, this management of candidates, the building that had candidates' headquarters, the photographs, all the evidence points to an illegal operation. And I would just hate for us to slap on the wrist with a fine and feel as though we've done our job for the citizens of Ohio, that we're standing up for free, fair, accurate elections, where we have our boards of election, we have our county parties, and at this point, there's 2 parties in the state of Ohio, sometimes 3. But it sets a bad taste in the mouth if we allow this kind of activity to go forth. That's why I seconded the motion for further prosecution and let them decide what the penalty is going to be. This is ugly, and it's been ugly in Mahoning County. And it's going to continue. Trumbull County. It's going to continue if we don't take action.
So I agree, but I have 2 reservations. One, and I think I voted against this, but there was a less intricate but similar case out of the Cincinnati area where there was a slate card that, clearly was a exact copy of the, one of the counties near their slate card. Exact copy. And they changed the word to, instead of, something party, it was just, Republican. They took out like 2 words. And we determined that that was different enough that it was okay. If I would be 100% on board with you if we hadn't ruled that way prior to, which to me, if you look at the different, and there are different words on the signs and the slate card, just like there was then. And then secondly, I agree with all that you said about the direction. However, we refer this to prosecution. Is the prosecutor going to do anything with it? It may never see light of day again. Where today, we could implement a substantial fine that is on the books as opposed to nothing happening, right? That's my view of it at this point.
Well, if I may, Madam Chair, I would just say this to you, Mr. Knight. I understand what you're saying on the slate card. We all voted on that. This is deeper. This is a organization, an LLC which we didn't have in the other case. We didn't have that. It was just a group of politicians who were, trying to pull the wool over somebody. But there was no actual organization that was on the books, raising money, holding campaign events. All right. I mean, all the evidence, I'm not going to go through all the evidence again, as Mr. Tavares articulately stated, but I'd say that certainly is a salient point here. If it was just a simple matter of a slate card, I'd agree with you. But I don't believe that. I believe this goes much deeper, and this thing's been going on, as we heard through testimony, for not 1 or 2, but for going back like 8 years. All right. And I think, and obviously I made a motion, but I think it has the weight to move forward. We've had cases before we didn't send that I personally regret that we didn't send to prosecution that we've had to deal with here. Because even though we made a ruling, they were never complied. And my belief is that if we don't move it forward and there isn't a little more authority to it, then this is just going to continue. And the new commission is going to have to deal with it. But it's clear to me that there's something going on here for all the reasons I've articulated and talked about. But and I won't belabor the point, but I do believe, Mr. Knight, this is significantly different than just a slate card.
Before anybody comes, I want to quickly interject. You've made reference to LLC on a number of occasions. I presume you're really talking about TCR Grassroots PAC.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
yeah. I mean, they're filed as an LLC.
I don't think it has. It filed with the FEC as a TCR Grassroots PAC. You're talking about the Presidential Cigar Club.
Yes.
It's listed as an LLC.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
should be listed in the motion too.
Right, where all her activity is being run out of.
Okay, so you're wanting to include the Presidential Cigar Club?
Oh, yeah, I'm
as
sure.
a-
it should.
Yeah.
LLC as a part of this? motion?
Thanks for that. Yes. Yeah, I will.
And second,
And the second
Yes.
is
Yeah.
to that revised.
so we're
motion? Okay.
amending the motion.
All right.
Mr. Director, are they a party?
Huh?
Yeah.
Yes,
They are,
they are
They
in
are
both
based
cases,
on
I
the
do
charge.
believe.
the complaint.
I'm pretty sure they are. I just wanted to double check before.
It was on what you sent the 23rd.
I don't mind that.
It appears to be yes.
Yes, they are. I apologize. I was looking at the wrong file. Yes, they are in both cases. Not that it mattered because we consolidated the matter.
Right, where the LLC is the TCR, right?
Okay, so what we have before us still, since we're presumably getting ready, that the commission would find a violation against Regina McManus, the Trumbull County Presidential Cigar Club LLC, the TCR Grassroots PAC, and as a penalty for that, it would be referred to the Trumbull County prosecutor.
Correct.
Not these other entities.
I'd say let's deal with this first as it is, and then I will bring the other parties back up. For a vote? Mr. Knight. Having heard a long pause, Mr. Stoutberg.
No.
Mr. Kirschner.
No.
Ms. Tavares.
Yes.
Back to you, Mr. Knight.
No.
Mr. Lyle.
Yes.
Chair Davis.
Yes.
3-3, that motion does not pass. In order for the commission to take action, a vote of four votes is necessary out of the majority in order for the commission to take an action.
So where does that leave us?
Presumably in a situation to make another motion of some sort. Can I suggest, first off, then, can I suggest that, the commission has pending before it allegations against, as kind of Mr. Stoutberg indirectly referenced, against Jason Minor, the Republican candidate headquarters, and McManus Strategy Group. And I'm not sure exactly what all of those, whether they exist or not, but we could deal with those elements that weren't included in the original motion before.
Yeah, point of question, does McManus Strategy Group even exist as an actual party?
It was included in the referral from the Board of Elections. There was no other evidence provided here today, I don't believe, concerning it or concerning its existence.
Well, I believe the evidence, I mean, it wasn't presented, but it was mentioned that it does not exist. That there is no McManus Strategy Group.
Okay.
So if they don't exist as a LLC or some sort of a corporation nonprofit, it can't be a part of can it? Or am I wrong?
It was listed as a party in the referral from the Board of Elections, so we have them as a party.
Okay.
Members, of their discussion, any further questions? Does anyone want to proceed with a motion?
Well, Madam Chair, I'd like to ask Mr. Richter again,
Okay.
since I think we're all in agreement there's violations. I could be wrong, but I believe that's been the consensus. So then, Mr. Richter, what would you suggest?
Certainly, another motion could be brought forward. I don't believe that. I think it's based on a conversation. I would tend to agree with you that referral for prosecution doesn't appear to be something that, I'm presuming that there would be a majority for the imposition of some sort of penalty, a fine by the commission. That appeared to be the manner in which the conversation was going forward.
In English?
It would appear that the little conversation was toward the potential imposition of a fine amount if the motion for sending along for prosecution was not approved, which it was not.
Okay, that part I understood.
Is there
It
a
was my
range?
motion.
You might.
Well, I mean, it's up to $100 per day, so considering there are still certain filings that would remain outstanding, but we don't want to, I don't believe we want to get into a position of imposing a per diem fine at this point. But, I mean, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, you know, I would only be throwing out numbers without any real basis for saying that. Considering that we saw, was it $1,480 is the amount that was shown as a part of one of the FEC reports. I don't know that we heard any other testimony as it related to the amounts, any amount of money that was involved anywhere.
Well, I guess one of my concerns is that in Ms. McManus, and I'm paraphrasing here, but what I recall from her affidavit, she said she was gonna continue to operate the way she's operating now. Which, so I think if we're gonna do a fine, it better be substantial. Because otherwise, you know, it's gonna continue. There's gotta be something to dissuade her from the activity she's doing without filing with the state and reporting. I mean, that's clear in her, as it was in Mr. Miners. I mean, it was, you know, that they're just gonna continue doing what they can. I can pull it up, but I'm sure that's what she said. So that gives me pause too. Man's response.
And Mr. Knight, I would not disagree with you simply for the fact that Ms. McManus had the ability to speak and, you know, shed light on the case and has chosen not to do that. And so that gives me great concern because a lot of things could have been cleared up in her favor, perhaps. And she's made the decision not to do so.
I agree.
Madam Chair, getting back to Mr. Richard's point, I would move that we dismiss Jason Minor, Republican candidate headquarters, whatever that is, McManus Strategy Group, whatever that is. Those parties dismiss. Entities, fictitious, whatever they are.
What I think he's saying is, and to still have Ms. McManus liable, but to remove and dismiss the other parties from the case.
Could I ask Mr. Stoutberg to expand on that? Why would we dismiss all of those?
There's been no evidence about, I mean, a couple of them aren't even things. You know, the only person is Mr. Minor. The other things are not really entities at all. They're just mentioned in the referral from the elections commission.
More elections.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Is it, if I may, accurate, Mr. Richter, that none of those are actual business entities registered in the state of Ohio?
So there has been no evidence presented that would indicate that they were.
I'll second.
People, can we have some discussion before?
Okay, well, we'll now have seconds, so we can certainly have discussion on the dismissal. So it was a motion to dismiss.
Madam Chair, I just have a question, maybe of Commissioner Stoutberg. I guess I don't understand why we're eliminating those two when they're on campaign literature. The PAC, you're saying that what's the other one, the cigar group?
TCR Richards PAC cigar. Cigar Club.
And then what's the other one?
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Mr. Stoutberg's,
His motion to dismiss was for Jason Minor,
Jason Minor, fine.
the
but-
Republican candidate headquarters, and the McManus Strategy Group. Those are the three included parties that he was moving to dismiss from this circumstance, and they were not involved in the prior motion that Mr. Lyle made.
But there's lots of evidence with the headquarters being in photographs to show the coordination with candidates. I guess that's my concern about eliminating that entity. Mr. Minor for sure. I say eliminate him from.
But is it an entity or is it just something that was named by the board?
From what we've seen, it's just a sign on a door.
But even in some of the documentation, I think from Ms. McManus, the presidential cigar, whatever it's called, is included. So I guess I don't understand.
That they're not part of my
But
vote.
they're not part of this motion.
Okay, if they're not included, I thought they were included.
Mr. Stockberg, can you restate your motion again? So,
Dismiss Jason Minor,
And
Republican candidate headquarters, whatever that is, and McMahon Strategy Group, whatever that is. There's nothing that we've heard about them, and there's no evidence that they are actually candidates.
so that would leave Regina McManus and the Trumbull County Presidential Cigar Club LLC
In the pack.
In the pack.
And TCR.
and TCR
Graphic
Graphic.
Pack.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
And I second it.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion on the floor and we have a second. Is there any discussion? Can we do a roll call vote?
I will certainly do so here in 1 second. Mr. Lyle,
Well, I'm sorry, I want to just be clear on this because there's some, so we are not, well, let me ask again, Mr. Stoutberg, just so I can, understand the motion. I just want to make sure before I vote. We're leaving out Mr. Minor, correct?
no, not in the motion. Mr. Minor is included in this motion.
To dismiss.
Yes.
Dismiss
Yeah,
them.
well,
That's
I
what
just said it there. Okay. The Presidential Cigar Club, is that in or out?
It's out.
Yes.
Okay. So that's still pending.
By out, you mean not included?
It's not
Not
included in
included.
this motion.
This current
Not included in the
motion.
Okay, a little more official. I'm sorry. I'm good. Just wanted to be clear.
Did you want to vote then?
If
If
you
I
vote
want to
on-
vote, I'll agree with that motion.
So that's,
So
yeah.
I said yes.
Mr. Knight,
Yes.
Ms. Tavares.
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner,
Yes.
Mr. Stoutberg,
Yes.
Ms. Davis.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously. Now, we have still pending the Regina McManus individually, the TCR Grassroots PAC, and the Trumbull County Presidential Cigar Club LLC.
This is for both cases, correct? Mr.
Correct.
Director? Okay.
These matters have been consolidated and they were named both.
There, anyone who'd like to make a motion or ask executive director questions?
Executive Director. So, all right, to me, the potential violations are clear for the PAC. And I, apologize if this is a question I shouldn't be asking at this point, but there's just been a lot. What would be the potential exact violation for the cigar club and Ms. McManus individually?
Well, Ms. McManus, there have been assertions that she should or could have created a PAC in Ohio and did not do so. And so, that would be a part of that
Outside of the TCR PAC. that was already
outside
here.
of the TCR PAC. TCR PAC, obviously, for failing to file,
Yeah, that one's easy.
campaign finance reports. Trumbull County Presidential Cigar Club, I believe that there was evidence that they did conduct certain activities. But I don't know. As I looked at things, I don't know that what they did would rise to the level of a violation. But Mr. Lyle, believes that their activities, in terms of what they did, has risen to the level of a violation.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioners, do we have a motion or any further questions for Executive Director Richter? Slash staff attorney.
Whoever.
If there's no motion, should we have more discussion?
I think we're thinking.
Okay. Just let me know when you're ready. I'm here.
I guess, Madam Chair, just to start the discussion, I guess if, we're talking about a fine in whatever recommendation we're going to give, it's like getting the discussion going on what we think a level of fine should be to prevent this kind of activity happening again. This is, as I said earlier, this is very disturbing to me because you're giving people the go-ahead to do these shadow organizations. If they get away with it in Trumbull County, they'll do it in other counties. And for us to be afraid to send it to prosecution is, in my mind, dangerous too, because that's what elected officials are elected to do. And just as we are seated to do our job, I'm hopeful that more of these kinds of cases, as they come before the new Elections Integrity Commission, that they will be more forceful in how they handle these if we want these free, fair, open, honest elections. So I'll start the ball at 20,000 as a fine.
I'll second the motion.
So the motion on the floor is that we.
Oh,
What specific?
I'm starting the discussion. I wasn't.
Oh, it was just a discussion.
I just
Okay.
heard an amount. so-
Yes,
But
I wasn't yeah,
The violation.
yeah, I wasn't making a motion at that point. I was just starting the discussion.
Okay.
So are you talking 20,000 spread evenly across the
We don't do
three?
that. We don't do that. We don't.
Well, there's three different
I know,
parties,
but
right?
there have been other parties and other fines. And we don't say how much is for candidate or entity A, B, or C. We just fine. We've never done that.
But if you, I mean, if you have a entity, an actual LLC is an actual company, right? So it's not one person. I don't think it works that way.
I think that her point was that it'd be joint and several, so that it'd be everybody's obligation. That's typical
Okay.
practice.
Okay, thank you.
For further discussion, Chair Tavares, Commissioner Tavares, I'm trying to give you the seat back.
Sorry, you said that.
Been a long day.
And the $20,000 is because of the ambiguity, the very fine line of where this lies, and the fact that we didn't go beyond the scope of a fine to refer it over to prosecution. Is that?
Madam Chair, I guess I would just respond by saying, as with all of our cases, we have options to fine or send for further prosecution or to dismiss or find no violation. And in this case, there's a violation, and rather than, since we couldn't get a majority of the commission to go with a fine and refer for prosecution, that we're now going with find a violation and fine at $20,000.
And I don't disagree with you with that amount, actually.
May I question the executive director? Does our statutory authority get us to the propriety of $20,000 based upon the statutes?
Based on what I'm looking at, we have, violations alleged under 351710A, 10D, 107 and 351720H. And since the declaration is a violation without enumerating any further, presumably a violation of all those sections. And when you look at the potential imposition for 351710A, a violation, the commission can impose a fine of up to $100 per day for a late or incomplete filing of a campaign finance report. It can impose a fine of up to $500 per day for a late filing or incomplete filing of a designation of treasurer. As I think is part of what we've discussed here. And then the commission can impose a fine of up to $500 for failing to include a complete disclaimer, considering some of these events are alleged to have started in early 2024. By $100 per day or $500 per day, I believe $20,000 is within the realm of what the maximum amount the commission could impose is.
Thank you.
So how many total days are we talking about potentially? Over 500? You said early 24, right? 360.
Yeah, you got 365 and then we're almost all the way through again. So it would be,
Take about 60,
I think it's probably
another
safe to say it
300,
would be around 500.
65 and 300.
With 500 days, with the daily.
It's more like 6. I mean, the minimum at 100, that's 60,000. So
They're getting.
Ms. Tavares started it at 20. I think that's more than reasonable. And that's at the low figure, not counting the 500 potentially you could use. So that could be 5 times more, right? Did you actually make a motion?
No.
No, it was discussion, you said. It wasn't.
Okay, I thought I did afterwards. Well, I'll move to find the violation and to, we've already excluded those other entities, but this is against jointly and severably. The motion is to find a violation and fine in the amount of $20,000.
Against Regina McManus, TCR Grassroots PAC, and the president, the Trumbull County Presidential Cigar Club LLC, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
So we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. There any discussion? Mr. Richter, can we do a roll call vote,
We
please?
certainly can, once I get a second. Mr. Stoutberg.
No.
Mr. Kirschner,
No.
Mr. Knight,
No.
Mr. Lyle,
Yes.
Ms. Tavares.
Yes.
Chair Davis.
Yes.
That motion also fails 3-3.
Make a motion.
I'm interested in Mr. Knight's perspective. He said a lot of inquiries. Where might you think this would play out?
No. I a little challenge that we've not heard directly from Ms. McManus. You know, making a lot of assumptions without hearing from her directly. And I know she could have appeared, and I know her tone was not great. And I certainly acknowledge that it's one thing to ask for continuance, another thing to conveniently make it after this commission will no longer be in existence, and it starts almost a whole new process. And I don't believe that is by accident. However, not understanding the politics of the situation, politics fully in Trumbull County. One of my concerns with the prior motion was it being joint and several. I would rather the fine be for Miss McManus solely, so there aren't ways for I get other parties involved with the other things to be either on the hook or able to supplement. I think if we're calling this out, it should be called out. I mean, not that the other should be off the hook entirely, but I think there should be something for her directly. I don't know where the right number is. I was probably closer to 10 in my mind. But I could be convinced otherwise. You ask for where my head is, it's not in one entire set place. It's still very, very muddled, to be frank.
Mr. Stolberg, I had some concerns about the lack of authentication as it relates to evidence and the combination of parties that were included. Were those your primary concerns as well?
Yes, yes. I mean, I think we need to separate the politics of the county, which it happened ugly, I feel. And it's unfortunate, but it's also not a violation. But what I see pretty clearly is the late filing of the act. Beyond that, I'm not sure I see anything. Might there be something underneath it? You know, she's allegedly spending money, putting together these parties or whatever and gathering, but there's really no hard evidence. There's just allegations and of course there had to be this and the other. And in my view, that just doesn't rise to the evidence needed here to justify a large fine.
You shared my concern about the lack of authentication of some of the evidence. So we have either filed reports late or failure to file or inaccurate filings.
Yes, that's what I see. And if I may, with respect to the senator, I agree with you that, you know, the activities like that should not occur, but they do. And Mr. Richter was around in the good old false campaign advertising days, where this would be a very active time of year on the emergency stuff. And that's not in our. Is it likely? Yes. Do I wish for a better world? Yes, but I did not see hard evidence that illegal activities are taking place. And there's certainly nothing illegal about somebody who wants to volunteer and contribute and put together something.
Madam Chair, if I may, just to respond to Mr. Kirschner, I understand what you're saying about the lack of authentication, but you know, Ms. McManus had every opportunity to be here and present her case. And obviously she had all her people making comments, as we saw all day long. We received yesterday all these affidavits, so obviously she was in communication with them, or we wouldn't have received these, right? So the fact that and these are my words, that she basically just thumbed her nose at this commission and said, I'm not gonna appear. I don't think you can look at the lack of authentication because for a simple reason, as I said, she had every opportunity. So given the fact that she isn't here, in my opinion, then we have to rely on what the complainant is providing us and look at that. You can't now weigh it towards the other person if they're not going to participate in the democratic process. So that's the problem I have with her.
I understand. You would agree that sometimes the defendant decides not to testify, but it's still the complainant's obligation to establish their case.
Well, I understand that. And I think they did. I mean, I just think they did with all the testimony that I said probably 6 times, like showing pictures that show coordination. I mean, I don't know what else we need personally.
Would any commissioner like to make a motion?
If I may, Mr. Executive Director, what is the entity? Please describe the entity that failed to file the reports.
TCR Grassroots PAC has filed either incomplete or failed to file or late filed campaign finance reports with the Secretary of State's office. That is the one organization that did not properly file all of the necessary campaign finance reports. So I think that's the answer to that question. Now, Mr. Lyle has certainly asserted that he thought that there's been suspicion showing that Ms. McManus should have created a PAC and did not file campaign finance, the designation of treasurer or file campaign finance reports to do so. That's something that could be asserted. Again, I'm not certain that there have been any specific allegations against the Cigar Club PAC as it relates to campaign finance filings.
So with that, Mr. Richter, when we had the motion on the floor to dismiss very specific entities and individuals, we had the opportunity to include the Cigar Club as well.
Anybody could have been included, of the parties that were before us, yes. And that organization was not included, correct?
Madam Chair, and Mr. Richter, correct me if I'm out of order on this, but having voted in the negative on the referral prosecution, I would like to make a motion to reconsider that motion.
Okay, that would need a second to go forward.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to,
To reconsider the vote against the referral for prosecution.
reconsider the vote for referral for prosecution, and we have a second.
We have a second, correct.
Can we please do a roll call?
Let's a little discussion.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, discussion.
Well, it's
Okay.
certainly a stark change. Finish that.
I think we're at a stalemate.
And the prosecutor could certainly sort the issue out because we're at a stalemate. And that's the basis.
I think
I can support that. I would have supported potentially a lesser fine, but I can support that.
And I think there's parties here that will clearly not be looked at, notably the Cigar Club that I don't think would have end up support for dismissal. I don't think they're the right party, but let the prosecutor sort it out.
Yeah. I can support that.
Okay, are we ready to vote?
So could we put the motion in some words?
There's been a motion presented to the commission to reconsider the previous action by the commission to have essentially a tie vote on the motion to find a violation and refer for prosecution Regina McManus, the Trumbull County Presidential Cigar Club, and TCR Grassroots PAC.
Okay.
Mr. Kirschner,
Yes.
Mr. Knight,
Yes.
Mr. Lyle,
Yes.
Ms. Tavares.
Yes.
Mr. Stoutberg. Yes. Ms. Davis.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously. Is there another motion for that? That has been reconsidered, but there is no motion pending before the commission currently.
Say again,
Yeah, I was like, what?
we're done, right?
Wait, is there another motion?
We brought it back.
No, we voted to refer to the prosecutor.
No, we voted to reconsider the referral vote.
Oh, so, okay.
Okay, then Mr. Stoutberg is on you again.
Yeah, no,
No, it's the Mr. Lyle's motion is now before.
Okay, so that, we're back to
Right.
Mr. Lyle's motion for finding a violation against those groups.
McManus, TCR and the Cigar Club.
Yeah, okay, hold on a second. I just want to.
Find a violation and refer to prosecution.
And that was also seconded by Ms. Tavares, and that's acceptable to Ms. Tavares?
She hasn't
That's somebody
seconded
else.
it yet.
No, because it.
Reconsidering.
Oh, we brought it back. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, and that is acceptable to Ms. Okay,
So before we move forward, have we dismissed the others before?
Yes,
yes.
we did just three, right.
They've been dealt with separately and are out unless they wanted to bring them back in.
No,
Let's move forward.
Just making sure we're voting.
Sorry, I couldn't read this. Okay, so we have currently pending before us a motion to find a violation and refer Regina McManus, the Trumbull County Presidential Cigar Club LLC and TCR Grassroots PAC to the Trumbull County Prosecutor for further criminal proceedings.
correct.
Mr. Stoutberg,
Is that correct, or is that Trumbull County, or is it to Franklin County?
that's an assumption on my part, admittedly.
It's
The way
whatever the statute says.
the way the statute reads is, generally speaking, you would refer it back to the jurisdiction at issue. The fallback place is the Franklin County Prosecutor. That's why I was assuming it was to the Trumbull County Prosecutor.
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner,
Yes.
Mr. Knight,
Yes.
Ms. Tavares,
Yes.
Mr. Lyle,
Yes,
Chair Davis.
Yes.
That motion passes unanimously the second time around.
Okay. Have we dealt with both cases in their entirety? I know we
We
did
have
a lot
dealt
of
with both
different.
cases in their entirety.
Madam
Okay.
Chair, if I may, I am loath to do this. I know everybody needs to leave. But I would like to discuss the MOU before we leave.
And so
Uh,
someone should
we
make,
have-
I'm happy to be on the record.
Yeah, we have to have a basis to go into executive session.
I'm fine with discussing it briefly on the record.
Okay,
well, I think there was,
We can
a
tell these folks.
we could
that
discuss the
That's exactly right. Yep.
you're done.
thank you guys for being here today.
Once here, there's more.
Thank you for spending your day with us.
I just wanted to tell you all, thank you very much. I realized this was a long day.
so good luck to
Yeah.
The only
everybody.
thing I could say is
Good
be
luck to
grateful you
everybody in
dealt with it
trouble.
one day. You know, it took me 3 days just to make copies. So,
Drive safe. Had a long
thank
night.
you. Yeah, we had a long day.
in trouble in a
Very much appreciate you. Look what you did.
Okay.
So are we not going
As I
into?
started to say, in order to go into executive session, you need a basic reason to do so. In general, in looking at the reasons before doing so, one would be a conference with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject of or pending or imminent court action. I don't believe that's the case here. The only other option that we would have available to us is to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee, myself or Mr. Hughes, That is the only other basis that we could use to go into executive session. And so if you wanted to invoke that, we could do so. Otherwise, Mr.
If everybody else is comfortable in session, that's fine with me.
Okay.
Okay, well, the floor is open then for the discussion, correct?
Correct.
I had, if I may, Madam Chair, just, and there may be some other concerns, but the first from my perspective is the approval for the MOU. And it seems to me that the Elections Commission body as a whole should have a vote on that to approve it to move forward. My second concern is that it seemed to me possible that the executive director's retirement would precede the conclusion of the MOU. And I don't see how we could function as a body if we had a retirement of the executive director and our legal counsel at the end of November. I don't see how we could appropriately proceed in December. Now, there may be some other issues, but from my perspective, I think it's our authority to approve the MOU, though I could be corrected. And again, I have the challenge of proceeding in December if we don't have an executive director.
Madam Chair, just to follow up on my colleagues' a statement, I guess one of the thoughts I had is to add into the MOU a recommendation that an attorney from the Secretary of State's office be appointed to serve as staff attorney / interim ED for the month of December, so that we could continue with whatever cases, and then it would be more of a transition to the Elections Integrity Commission.
I think that would be great, but do you have any insight on whether they'd agree to that?
My gut says they would not, but I don't know that specifically, and I would be speaking out of turn by saying that as I just did. I have reached out to the Office of the Attorney General, who represents us when we go out of the office, and they have at least tentatively indicated that they believe that they would be able to represent the commission in this situation.
So, Mr. Richter, you're saying that AG's office would then sit in for the month of December?
I have not gotten that confirmed, but the response that I originally got back was that would be feasible and possible, yes.
It would seem to be in that circumstance, then they ought to be a party to and agree to that in the MOU prior to finalization.
I mean, I just reached out recently and got that response back.
And if anybody disagrees or you think that I'm incorrect, but I just don't see how we could appropriately function as body without an executive director and legal counsel in the month of December. But I also think that we as a body should have the ability to approve or disapprove that MOU. But if you disagree on either of those points, let me know.
Well, I'd also like to add, sorry, go ahead.
You go ahead, please.
For myself, so I don't want to speak on behalf of every commission member. We have been prepared to operate through the end of the year as, we have been assigned to do. However, statutorily, there's no way for us to do that with your retirement. And so we're stuck. And I agree with you 100%. It has to be included in the MOU. They have to agree upon it. And then I would be willing to sign off on something like that. Because if not, where does that leave us? I don't even understand where we would be then in violation of an MOU that there's no way for us to fulfill.
But theoretically, we hadn't approved unless we make certain that it's approved by our body.
Right.
I agree that for something of this nature, we should, as a body, be able to approve. I'm probably the outlier here in that the executive director / staff attorney is an advisor and we are the deciders. I personally, if the executive director were to lay out the ICWs and the cases for the 2 December meetings, we would have Mr. Hughes here for questions, and for items that we do not feel comfortable agreeing to, we just continue, right? So you do what you can, you continue the rest. To me, and it's statutorily, you do not have to attend, correct? Mr. Executive Director? You don't have, it's not that's not part of the statute, is it?
No, that is correct. I have missed, in all my time here, I have missed one particular, probable cause panel review in 1999 or 2000. That is the only meeting I have ever missed.
So with that being said, the meeting still proceeded.
That meeting still proceeded. Yes, I still had prepared my outline of the false, it was still one or two false statement cases on that day. And I had prepared my outlines and presented them to the commission. Ms. Springer, was still present, and the commission went forward.
So, Mr. Knight, if, just say we were to continue to move forward, are you saying that if there is any legal advisory issue, we just would not do
Just-
anything?
We just continue the
kick it
case.
Down the can. Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes.
if I may, I have
Mr.
a
Lau?
couple things to add to it. all. So I agree with Mr. Kirschner. I believe we should have a vote myself. I agree with what he had said and others have said. Mr. Knight's position on Mr. Hughes, I just want to refer everybody to Article 7, number B, Article B, that it says Mr. Hughes will work Secretary of State's office a minimum of 3 days a week. For the Secretary may request additional days as needed through mutual agreement between OEC and Secretary of State. So we don't know what Chris is going to be doing. We don't know how much work it's going to be, what the learning curve is going to be. I think it's throwing this burden on him is wrong. But more importantly than that, as Mr. Kirschner has said, I'm concerned that we would not have legal counsel here for situations that arise where we need a recommendation. And for all those reasons, I would say I'm opposed to this. The other thing I will raise too is that I'm concerned with some of the language that's in here, on whether or not we will continue until actually the end of December 31st. And I'm concerned, though it doesn't apply to me, I'm concerned with the number of commissioners that are receiving healthcare benefits that could potentially be terminated beginning December 1. So I'm not in favor of this MOU.
Well, I will, you've had that conversation, Mr. Lau.
And I had it yesterday,
Right.
shared my concerns with you.
Right, at a meeting that I had on yesterday, actually, with staff from the Secretary's office and personnel from DAS, as it related to the ongoing circumstances, not just the MOU, because that really wasn't discussed, but finalizing issues, having meetings, deciding matters. The staff at DAS specifically stated that the commission will continue its operations until December 31, and all members will be considered to have continued in employment through December 31. So they confirmed, DAS confirmed that is the anticipated process, is that, the commission will exist through December 31. And at that point, then, members and anything else related to the commission will cease operations on December 31.
So that it shouldn't be an issue if we had an MOU and it was in writing, then, right?
If we are not gonna have any activity as a commission in December, why would they not change it to finish November 30?
Because the statute says that the commission ceases operation on December 31.
Ceasing operation and paying salary and benefits are two different things, right? You can say that this is still in operation and just have no expenses.
I'm merely passing along to you what staff at DAS indicated as it related to members.
Well, if I may, Madam Chair, I see Mr. Richter's role as twofold, executive director and legal counsel. And what I think might be appropriate for a motion would be that Mr. Richter, as our legal counsel, provide us a statutorily compliant solution that addresses handling commission work through the end of the year in light of, the decision to retire. And don't get me wrong, I want Phil to be able to retire when it's good for him on terms that are beneficial to him. But I also want the shutdown of the commission to be handled in just as professional a manner. So I'm happy to proceed for the end of the year. I think that we ought to proceed through the end of the year. But I'd like to get a legal opinion, either through Mr. Richter or through the Attorney General's office, on what needs to be done in the event of a retirement to handle matters through December. And then include that within the MOU that we would ultimately approve or disapprove as a body.
I agree.
Is that a motion, Mr. Person?
Well, I think, yeah, the motion would be twofold. The first motion would be for the executive director to provide us with a legal opinion concerning a statutorily compliant solution to operate through December 31st, 2026. 2025.
Giving us another year.
Yeah, optimistic. 2025. That would be the first motion. The second motion that I would follow up with then is just that our body then be able to consider and vote upon the final MOU, incorporating all the items that we would want to be addressed.
I agree.
Is that a second, Madam Chair?
Well, was that a motion?
I'll make the
Yes.
first, I'll make the
Make the
first
first
motion. The first motion
Just
first.
the motion.
Mr. Richter, if you could.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, you indicated, Mr. Kirchner indicated that I would provide a legal opinion on a statutory basis for a solution for the commission to operate through December 31, 2025.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we do a roll call vote?
Okay, is everybody in agreement? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes unanimously.
And then second motion.
And your second motion, Mr. Kirchner, was that the commission would consider and vote upon the final MOU as it's finally resolved.
I'll second
Well, wait,
For discuss.
for
Once-
discussion.
Yeah, once there is proposed language addressing the first issue.
Right.
Once there's proposed language addressing the first issue that were the first motion that we made,
Okay.
to have the MOU updated to address that statutorily compliant solution. And then to route it to the commission for consideration and a formal vote. I'm happy to do it at the next meeting if we get to a solution.
Our next meeting is next
Next
Thursday.
Thursday.
So that's what I was gonna ask. Like, I think with the amount of time we have left, we need to kind of make
It
some
would
hard
be,
deadlines.
it will be challenging to get that all done by then, but I will certainly do my best efforts. Excuse me.
So let's just a second talk a little bit more practically. It's not gonna happen by next week. So talk is gonna happen by November 20th meeting, which is fine, so long as we're in a position to approve it. Otherwise, you're into December. I just want to point out the timeline, right? Because you got two shots. I don't think it's likely we'll see it next week. If we do great, but you'll get the 20th, and if you don't approve it, then it doesn't get approved. Well, not until December, and then we don't know what's going on. That's my one concern.
What's interesting to me is that we didn't create the timeline. We didn't propose the MOU in October. And, what the schedule is, I'm not opposed to separately voting electronically. So
Are we allowed to do that?
whatever we need to do to comply with public records law, we certainly want to do. Or a Teams vote or whatever we could possibly do. I don't think we're in a position to add the additional hearing dates. I would not be in favor of that. But if we need to move more expeditiously, we can only react. I had only heard recently there was any request for a memorandum of understanding.
Well, I guess my concern that comes into play in agreement with all of that is we're talking about our approval of it. But are we saying, so just say he was able to have it available next Thursday. Is the Secretary of State going to sign this MOU that we have come up with? It doesn't, if we approve it and they reject it,
Right.
then that still doesn't solve the
And
issue
DAS.
for us.
He has a party as well.
So and
I,
the 20th will not, I don't see how that gives us enough time, even on that day, because his end date is 11/31, and we won't be back.
Phil, do you have a suggestion logistically about how to address?
we could, I could certainly work on getting this moved along, circulate it to everyone and, get electronic approvals from everybody for something like this, I believe. That's not in the normal course of business. I think that's certainly one possibility, and that would get it moving along more quickly than the 20th and potentially give us time after the 6th. Let's put it that way.
And those votes would be subject to public record, and you could bring those votes up at the next meeting.
Correct. Or the next subsequent meeting after all those, and it would be a matter of me circulating it to everybody and saying, please respond back to me. I would say, please respond back to me individually, indicating what your approval is or dissent, as the case may be. And I can accumulate those votes essentially and determine whether there is a majority of persons that are willing to approve the MOU at that point. And I would doing it by email, and so those emails would certainly become a part of the public record. And then it could be confirmed by the commission at the next meeting date.
Do you have any opposition to the commission approving the MOU?
No, not at all. And all along, while it has been viewed all along, I think, by the parties involved that I would, essentially approve on behalf of the commission, and you could give approval to me to sign the MOU on your behalf. Always in the back of my mind, I have had concerns that I would be committing all of you to something without your approval. In simple terms. I was willing to move forward on this as much as possible. And I can certainly, one of the things that the Secretary's office has expressed to me as much as anything, is Chris's availability. And I'm certainly willing to allow, and Chris and I have discussed that since this first came up. I'm certainly okay with allowing that to occur, even without it being a part of the MOU, to give him the opportunity to make that work over there. And to move this process forward, even if we don't have an MOU that specifically identifies it. So that I think is the most critical element for the secretaries, and the secretaries wanting to see it occur. And I can make sure that gets done without your approval. At least I'm presuming you guys wouldn't have a problem with that, considering I'm generally responsible for the day-to-day operation of the commission. And I had discussions early on with staff at the Secretary of State's office about the possibility of that. Chris and I have had conversation about it. Their original, the first MOU that was circulated, I think did it already have you spending 5 days a week over there at this? No, it was.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna mention.
It was
No.
this week and then November 10.
November 10th, it was going to be, him over there full time. And I said, hold on, that's not gonna work because.
No, they went down to one.
Well,
Yeah, we need somebody else over here to help me out at least for a period of
I
time.
think that our position, Madam Chair, tell me if folks disagree with me, is remarkably simple. Which is we have 4 hearing dates through the end of the year. We'd like to complete, pursuant to the new statute, our hearing dates through the end of the year, which are 4 occasions, with the president, with the presence of an executive director and legal counsel or some other statutorily acceptable solution, period. That's where I am on it. I don't know if anybody else has a different view. It's only 60 days. We have 4 hearings. We want to handle things professionally and consistently with the statute. And that's really where I am on. If you think that there's some sharing of time that Chris needs to take with this transition, that's no problem. We want to make sure that for the next 60 days, we're staffed appropriately and that we can handle the hearings that have been asked of us. And I don't think that it's much more complicated than that.
Unless I'm missing something, I think the complication comes in with the Secretary of State and DAS signing off on and or approving it. Again, we could be okay with the MOU, but it's a two-party MOU. Three-party, right, I just said all three. And so they have to be okay with it too. How are we going to get this accomplished before November 31st?
Well, it's actually,
I mean, I'm-
that this 28th and there's Thanksgiving and I would be shocked if post the 20th, there aren't some vacation days in Phil's future. So it's really not the 30th, it's earlier. But that said, I mean, say it on the record, I don't even care at this point. I think this whole concept of an MOU when you're statutorily taking over an organization is perhaps the most bureaucratic waste of effort I've ever seen. That aside, I mean, I think we should put the language in that we're comfortable with and say, look, you're taking us over. This is a commission. At this point, it's what we're willing to sign. And if they don't like that, I guess we can hammer that out then. I mean, they're the ones that seem to need this MOU. At the end of the day, they're taking us over. I don't know what we need to understand. I get trying to set up timelines and expectations. I don't know that requires a legal agreement and an interdepartmental, interagency legal agreement for an agency that's gone in 45 days. But that's just me. I say we put out there what we're willing to do. And if they don't want to sign that, I mean, I guess we don't have to sign it. I mean, what happens if we don't sign it?
So are you comfortable with what Mr. Kirschner has proposed?
Absolutely, I voted yes. I'm just saying in terms of, you know, I agree with Commissioner Davis wholeheartedly in a three-way agreement with, you know, bureaucratic state attorneys. This isn't going to get done in a month, right? Not unless somebody just acquiesces to somebody else's language. And I don't see that happening. And don't underestimate, we got the holidays right around the corner. This is not going to be a top priority for a lot of these folks. Anyway, said my sleepy.
And so what I hear, and I don't want to speak for you, is that we go through and follow through with what we said we're willing to do and let the chips fall where they may.
Yep.
I'm fine with that.
We need a motion on that for the
I
director.
think we have a motion, right? We were in discussion.
Okay, we haven't voted on the second.
Right,
motion,
we did the
Mr.
revised.
Eisner, concerning including within the MOU, the first motion, the activities of the first motion regarding the legal opinion and additional representation.
Well, I'll make it a little simpler, that we would just have the executive director negotiate an MOU that's acceptable to the commission for us to vote on and approve before it's finalized.
I'm not in disagreement with that. My only concern though is that if we do a proxy vote, can we do it through Teams and not via email? Just because of the public records request. I understand that it is just.
No, because I would, the commission, for the commission to meet physically, you have to be in physical, you have to be physically in the same place. Now, we can all go to Cleveland together. presumably, if everybody wants
I
to
think
go
that's
there.
what should happen,
Okay, I'm sure Mr. Southwood would be more than happy to do that.
right in my dining room.
We can't get together. That's why I was suggesting,
Yeah.
you know, I will send out emails,
Yeah.
individual, and expect to come back. And part of that goes back to, I can remember when you guys are all familiar with me talking about the Freeman case, the joyous thing that was. The commission directed me to essentially write the decision and then, circulated for everybody's consideration and approval prior to the actual meeting when the commission confirmed their approval. But I sent it out to everybody in advance and everybody got back to me and said, yes, we like that. That's appropriate. And so then I was able to bring the final version to the actual commission meeting. And everybody had already seen it and approved it, essentially approved it at that point. And that was challenged in court, as I recall, as a part of Mr. Freeman's challenge to the commission's action, as it were. And my recollection is the court upheld that type of action.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second, we've had lots of discussion. And so are we prepared to now vote? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes 6-0. Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a second.
Second.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all very much. Thanks for your patience.
Someone else on lunch. Oh, no, who?
Usually that falls on the chair.